coaching hires in the off season, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. During the season,
during the most awkward scheduling conflict known to man in college football.
Fix the calendar, people. That'll help, but a little bit maybe. But we saw head coaches get fired in week 4. Speaking of you, James Franklin, and a couple others. But we're going to drop our top 10 and just kind of how they've done in the portal.
And here's our top 10 as it sits right now.
And let us know what you think. And some of this is based on, like, for me, what they can do in the short term, like how quickly can they jump in, to winning games. Trev, I mean, I want to hear from you. Yeah, Whittingham first. Obviously, that's a huge hire for Michigan.
I just think,
upwards.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Failing upwards, legitimately. I put Whittingham first just because I just think that out of all of the coaches that they could have gotten, that's by far the best one. Yeah. Lane Kiffin is never somebody I want to see in the maize and blue ever. Ever. James Franklin, same deal. The only other coach that I would have loved to see in maize and blue went back to his alma mater and re-signed with them, and that's Dillingham.
You're on the Dilly train.
Literally the only other coach that I would have wanted to see in Michigan, because he's young, he's smart, he knows his ball, and he is all about ball. Yeah. And he doesn't do the drama thing. He's super family oriented, all that stuff like that. So, like, in every other way, he would be great. But I love Whittingham. I mean, hopefully he sticks for the whole 5 years and we can really build something. And then we have a good succession plan after Whittingham. Did I say Dillingham or Whittingham? I don't know. Whatever.
It's a lot of ham, but I like Whit. I've got him at number 2. And again, just it's crucial for this Michigan team with the talent that they have to have some semblance of security and normalcy compared to what we've seen the last few years, and then how it went down with Sharon, being a goon goblin. But it's just, I think it's a hell of a hire. Everybody pretty much agrees that Whittingham was a top 10 coach in college football.
That's right.
Just for what he did at Utah, and how long he'd been there, and his ability to continue to win. And then he had the Pac-12 titles last 2 years in a row. So I think it's a good hire. I think it's smart. But I've got Franklin at number 1 simply because I think Virginia Tech was in such need of somebody to pull them up out of the darkness. And I think Franklin can do that. I know what we said about him at Penn State, because it's true. He had struggles against the biggest games, the biggest opponents.
I think
it's a different level.
Yeah, he got lethargic. I think he just got stuck in a 10-win rut, I guess you could say. And
that's a good rut to be in.
It is a great rut to be in. However, like, when he changed over, like, you could just see a whole different level of passion from the very first press conference at Virginia Tech. You could just see that he's like, I guess you could say the word would be invigorated, ready to go, all the things. And he managed to keep the former Virginia Tech head coach on his staff.
Yeah.
Which is actually really cool, to be honest with you, because I think that kind of helps keep some of the roster integrity together.
Yeah.
So Brent Key is is he the offense or defensive coordinator? I can't remember which one he got hired. DC, right?
Yeah. And then it's just one of those, I think it's just smart to do and to keep, like you said, the continuity. And that's one thing we didn't talk about with Whittingham was, we can flop back to it real quick. What Whittingham has done to keep the Michigan team together. A lot of guys enter the portal, they've pulled out. So they're now back at Michigan. They went and got key pieces that they need, new wide receiver core. They've revamped everything, special teams, all of it. So I think that adds into why, Whittingham's in the top 2 for both of us, was the ability of roster retention. That's right. Back to James Franklin, pulling guys from Penn State, pulling recruits from Penn State. And you could tell, like you said, he is reinvigorated. He's excited to be there.
That's right.
And I just don't think you're obviously not going to get that same, depth of the conference in the ACC. There's good teams out there, and I like the ACC, but it's a different beast. You're not having to play Ohio State and Michigan almost every year. You're not having to play, Oregon and USC and Indiana now all the time. And you could just tell when Franklin lost one of those big games, whether it be close or whatever, he just had this just defeated look. Like he's like, God dang it, man, again. And I just think he's going to be able to really elevate Virginia Tech, beyond, like Kiffin. We can move on to him at number 3 for me, and you number 2.
Yeah,
I feel like LSU could have gone out and gotten if
anybody.
Kiffin moved on somewhere else. If he went to Florida, or if he stayed at Ole Miss, they probably could have gotten.
It's one of those jobs that if LSU calls, you listen.
Yeah,
it's just one of those jobs.
That's why I have it a little bit lower, is because look, he's obviously a good coach. He still has never made the playoffs. I'll tell you that, I joke about that, but how do you leave before you get the goddamn playoffs? You finally get there and you leave.
But I think they could have actually won the Natty if the whole staff was good to go. That he stayed, and I think that Ole Miss had the potential to actually win the Natty with everybody intact, no distractions whatsoever.
Yeah, that would have been something. But that's why I have them a little bit lower, just because I think they could have gotten anybody. But Kiffin still, he's recruiting well. He does that. He runs the portal well. He does it. He did it at Ole Miss. He's already doing it at LSU, and they're gonna be a loaded team. They're gonna be contending, unlike what Brian Kelly had them doing. So you're at least gonna see that upgrade, and that's why LSU obviously they're gonna be coaching hires top 3. I just have my reasons for the first 2 being above Kiffin.
Yeah.
Trev, what about?
Yeah, Summerall, for me, I think that's just hands down home run hire for Florida. I loved what Summerall did at Tulane, and I think that I'm thinking of the right team, right?
Yeah.
Now I'm just I'm looking at my list. I'm like, fuck, where'd they go? Where'd they come from?
I know. I probably could have redone the graphic to show that.
No, Summerall at Tulane, I thought that was a great hire, smart hire actually, because he's already recruited in the South before, and him just tapping into the Florida pipeline, I think is going to be it's going to set Florida apart from anybody else in Florida. I think even Miami, definitely Florida State, because Florida State's irrelevant in Florida at this point. I mean, they're more South Florida is more relevant than Florida State at this point.
That seat is hot, boys.
Dude, I don't even understand how he kept his job, but whatever. I digress.
That's besides the point. Go ahead.
That's beside the point. But no, I really think that Summerall is going to do something great with Florida and bring them back to the top end of the SEC.
That's why I've got him at 5.
I just think that it's a home run hire. And we just, and I do feel the same way for Campbell. It was just a flip or flop. It was a 4 or 5 for both of these guys for me, to be honest with you.
Yeah, so I've got Summerall at 5. It's a flip flop type thing. I agree. He's a great coach. He wins. I think he is going to be able to recruit well there and change that culture. From what you'd seen. So I think it's a good hire. Florida's in a good spot. They're another one that they make good hires typically. No, last couple have been kind of off. Like why Billy Napier? Well, he did good, in the group of 5, level, and he had chances, but they also just faced horrifically tough scheduels too. So it's just
I feel like the SEC screwed them real hard on a couple of them seasons.
Florida was taking it, man. And then I look at Campbell. I've got them at number 4 because if you remember, I know it's been a long season, and hell, even the off season already, it's getting long with my number 7 coach. And I just thought the way that they came out, they had the battle with the Mormons. Penn State did the battle with the Mormon Church and trying to get Kalani Sitake, and Crumble Cookie comes in and saves the day, and they put a bag down and keep Sitake. And then they're like, well, shit, okay, what do I do? Well, Campbell's just sitting there like, he's been at Iowa State. He's like, I would like a chance, guys. I'm over here. Don't forget me. And they get him in like the 50th or 60th day of this damn coaching search. So I was like, you know what, to go and get him, I think that's good. He's been able to keep the roster pretty well. He's going out and he's hitting the transfer portal, getting good players. And even on the recruiting side, he's in on it for a 5-star running back. So that's like, okay, hold on, Campbell's recruiting like that right now? I know it's Penn State. Penn State's going to attract guys like that anyway, but you still have to be the coach and go out and get them. So I don't know. I think that's an important one for Penn State to stay in that realm of 10 wins. I don't know if he'll elevate them, but I think it's important for them to stay, because I always said for Penn State, if you're going to fire Franklin, you got to find somebody that can at least win like he does. But if
and at least, I mean,
the fall off.
And I would say that Penn State's kind of sitting with the same formula that they did before, right?
Yeah.
They found a fairly successful coach at a middling Power 4 conference or team, excuse me.
Yeah.
And that's where they went. They went with Campbell, who's kind of been stuck at Iowa State, not really getting much opportunities, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
His name, I find it weird that his name hasn't been thrown around in coaching circles before this, really. And maybe it has, and it just didn't pan out. But I think he's going to do real good for Penn State. I think that Penn State's going to kind of adopt that pesky attitude that Iowa State always seemed to have.
And I just wonder if they can take that next step with him, or if it's just going to be the same old thing. Because at Iowa State, I know the talent level is different than some of the teams that Campbell played, but still. Yeah, we'll see what happens.
And then obviously our 6 through 10, as you can see, is a little different.
It's a little different. If you want to run through yours, and then
sure. So Chesney at UCLA, I thought was my from most of these hires, he's probably my favorite, because I want to see UCLA do good, and I think he gives them the best opportunity to do that. I think that overall, I think Chesney's going to have a rough first, maybe second season. So I'm hopeful that UCLA gives him some rope.
Yeah.
Gives him some time, because with the way UCLA has been, it is kind of one of those things where it's a program that you need time.
Yeah.
To find the right pieces that fit. And it's also, it's one of those things where UCLA is a tough place, just kind of like Stanford, to recruit because of their class schedules, their workload, and the requirements for the university itself. So like that's where I think a lot of it's going to be. And so with that said, I think Chesney's going to do good. Number 7, I have Fitzgerald, because one, like, I feel like that for Michigan State, coming from where they have been and what they've dealt with, the calming, solid presence that Fitzgerald can bring. While a lot of people may not know him across the country, Fitzgerald, whether you like him or hate him, did great things for Northwestern.
He did.
In their program. And he was always a well-respected coach throughout the Big Ten. Nobody had an ill thing to say about the guy. He always did things the right way, which really Michigan State's been missing for the past few years.
And
so true. Michigan State, you did a good thing by hiring this guy, and hopefully you keep him around for a while.
And I know that he got fired from Northwestern because of this, the hazing scandal. He sued him. He's like, hey, I'm wrongfully terminated. This is horse shit. He's back in it. And I do think it's a good culture hire. You're going to find somebody that resets what Michigan State was under D'Antonio. You need that.
Hard-nosed Big Ten guy
as much as D'Antonio did, but Michigan also was down at that time. It's just a fact. But I do think it's a good hire for Michigan State. I know he's been sitting on the sidelines waiting for all this legal stuff to clear out, but I think it's a good one.
And then the most, I mean, for my number 8, I have it, but it's still the most disheartening hire for me. Not because of UCF. They got a great coach. In my opinion, they got a great coach. I think that a lot of these teams overlooked him once again. Just because he didn't have head coaching experience means nothing.
Yeah, I know.
Means absolutely nothing.
You were talking about Penn State needing to hire him.
We are talking about a guy that has consistently for the past 5 to 7 years been the best overall recruiter and the best wide receiver developer in all of the country. There is nobody better.
He pumps them out. I mean, it's
nobody better than Brian Hartline. Since he's been on the Ohio State staff, he's been knocking it out all the way up to leading up to offensive coordinator, where he's been in a system that really pumps out good coaches all the way across the board. He has been around good head coach. Man, this hurts to say it. He's been around great coaches and been around so much experience that I feel like taking him as a head coach is not as big of a stretch as most people think.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And then
but for him to go to USF, he's going to kill it with the recruiting down in Florida. He's going to beat Florida State if he ever has to play them. Like, it's not going to be a big deal for USF to be in the top 25. I don't think.
Yeah, I think they'll pick up where they left off. I think it's a good hire.
It'll be solid.
I can see why, a big program doesn't want to take a risk, especially like Penn State after they just fired James Franklin, and everybody's like, well, you just picked a coordinator. We need a damn coach. But I think what you saw, even with Ohio State, some of their fans would agree, some maybe not. But once he left and he wasn't their offensive coordinator, they felt like they took a hit, in the playoffs. And then, well, hey, what happened to our team? Like,
I found it weird that he was at that game but wasn't allowed to coach. I found it weird.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I think it's going to be fine. I think that's a good hire for him. And I've got a list of like all the coaches that are hired. He was my number 12. I think it's a good pick. I think it's a safe, smart hire, and just let him go.
Yeah. And then my last two, Golish, formerly of USF, and then Morris are my last two. I picked Golish because, frankly, I just think Auburn needs something. And, I'm giving them the number 9.
I just hope they give them time.
I don't know if they are, though. It is a hotbed.
The way Auburn fires coaches, man, it's like
it's insane. And then I think Morris is going to do great things from North Texas. Basically, it is Oklahoma State / North Texas players.
And it is, and it's the same way for Penn State. They're basically Iowa State. So you just see what these talent levels can do, and that's why I've got Morris there at 6 because again, Oklahoma State has just been in the dumps, and their fans are just hungry for at least 3 wins, maybe 4. So you go out with Morris, and he's won at North Texas. He goes on and brings basically his entire offense up there. So now you got Messmaker going to Oklahoma State. So this offense is going to move the ball. You're gonna see more excitement from the Okie State fans and the team, and I just think it was a good hire for them, especially in the short term. I don't know how it'll work in the long, but right now I think it's important for them to start winning again, so they don't get left behind in the recruiting rankings and in the portal. Golding. I mean, he just won some playoff games. I got him up there, and then all this shit comes out from.
We'll talk about that after we're done talking about this, but we're going to dive into that.
I made the graphic before Dabo. Sorry if I'm getting too loud. Before Dabo fucking shit canned his ass on at the meeting, but whatever. I think he's won some games for him. He's won more than Lane Kiffin has in the playoffs. So I think the way he played it through all the adversity that they had, to me, hey, that's actually a pretty good hire. He's doing pretty well. He's doing good in the portal. He's getting guys in the portal. So I think that's a solid hire for him. I've got Klein at 8, just because Kansas State, I think, going out and stealing him from, I know he's, that's his school. He played there, but stealing him away from Texas A&M. Good for you. You've got a guy that can go out and show like, hey, I've played here. I know what it means to be, a mangy cat, if you will. And sorry, Colton, you listening, buddy? I hope so. But no, to be, Kansas State, I just think it's a good move for him. His offenses are fun. So we'll see what they can do in the Big 12. And again, that conference is so open. I know Texas Tech is pouring their cash in. Everybody else is too. So I think Kansas State, it's a good hire. Scally for Utah. I know he's been a head coach in waiting, but to me, just keeping the continuity of what Utah has been, I think it's going to continue. I think he's got that method. I think that it's going to be kind of the status quo there. You're going to be at the top of the Big 12. You're going to continue to push. I think it's a smart, safe. It's been in the writing that's where I'm going. And then Rogers.
I still think Scally's got a lot of work to do to win back some of the Utah fans, because I feel like some of the Utah fans are Michigan fans right now.
Oh shit, man, I don't know. They were until
they'll be fine. I mean, I've seen a few of them say, "Michigan, we love you, but Whittingham sucks."
Yeah, they're on the full on screw Whittingham train now because of some of the hires that he's made and the players he's gotten. But that's part of the game, man.
That's the nature of the beast.
I mean, he's their head coach. What do you expect? Some these guys are like, you know what? No, I'm not going to follow him. Across the country.
Yeah, exactly.
But and then I got Rodgers at Iowa State just because what he had done in the FCS, and then he goes and he coached at Washington State. He had some tight games against Ole Miss, against others throughout the season, and you get more talent at Iowa State. He's doing pretty well, with roster retention and trying to get the portal going. I think it'll be an interesting one for down the line. Not maybe necessarily right now, but get 2-3 years, I could see him still playing well and being in that upper echelon of the Big 12. But we'll see. I kind of like that one. And then outside that, I mean, there's so many other ones. Charles Huff at Memphis, I thought was a good pick. He'd been doing well down at Southern Miss. So there's plenty of good coaching hires